Like, it starts at 7:30. I'm gonna probably go 8:30ish, and people are gonna come back. So just stay posted on tomorrow night. As of now, it's looking like not. A bunch of people in our shul are getting honored, whatever, saluted. All right, let's do it. As of now, looks like not, but still on the fence. Stay posted on the chat. All right, we're on Chavav Amid Aleph. Although I'm doing a chazara, I needed a chazara myself a little bit better, so it's going to be a little bit slower, this chazara, just because it's part of the hemshech. I went a little bit too fast at the end. I for myself need to take a little bit slower, just to set up of the Gemara. So drop a little bit more time. So we're at the Tanu Rabbanon on Chavav Amid Aleph, about 10 lines from the bottom. Tanu Rabbanon, the Rabbanon Tat. Oichlin achilas aray chutz sukkah. You're allowed to eat a snack outside the sukkah, and that we saw in our Mishnah. But the Brayso adds in, V'ein yishenim shenas aray chutz sukkah. You're not allowed to sleep, a nap, outside the sukkah. Just to bring this out one point. We know there's a rule on sukkahs. It says, Teshvu b'sukkahs. You're supposed to live in the sukkah. And we darshan, Teshvu, you should live in your sukkah. Ke'ein teduru. Ke'ein means like the same way, teduru, you live in your home. Whatever you would do in your home, just do it in a sukkah. But if it's not something that you would do in your home, then you don't have to do it in a sukkah. When it comes to eating, big meals, regular meals, we usually eat at home, generally. So those type of meals, instead of your home, eat in the sukkah. But a snack, we snack on the road. We don't go to our homes to snack. So therefore, you don't have to snack in the sukkah. The sukkah is the same thing as your home. When it comes to sleep, it's the same thing. When you sleep, right, really, you sleep in a sukkah. You sleep at home, right? You're taking a real sleep. You sleep at home, so you sleep in the sukkah. But what about a nap? A nap is tricky. Would you nap in your car when you're driving? Yeah, people nap outside. So this is really what? Tesla, you lean back. It's very comfortable. Oh, you don't have to drive. You just self-drive for sure. You sleep. So you sleep in your car, you relax, you'll put your head down at work. Really, a nap is something that you don't do in your house, you do other places. So Hashkafa Rishon, before you see this Brayso, you're thinking, we anyways don't sleep in the sukkah because we're mitzvah and things like that. We're cold, we're uncomfortable. But if you wouldn't have that, you're not allowed to doze anywhere ever outside the sukkah. Okay? So that's what the Brayso says, no dozing outside the sukkah. Says the Gemara, my time, what's the reason? Again, to bring out the point, what's the reason? Why not? What's the difference between sleep and food? Right? That's partly where, just my time. It doesn't make any sense. The same way I could take a snack, because I generally don't eat in my home, I snack everywhere. So I also nap other random places. Why do I have to nap in the sukkah? Rav Ashi says, Rav Ashi, you really don't. There's really no problem of napping outside the sukkah. It's not part of Teduru. It's not the way you live. People nap other places. You sleep for the night. You sleep in your home, so you sleep in the sukkah like that. But napping, you'll do in other places. There's nothing fundamentally wrong with napping outside the sukkah. So what's the problem? Gzeira Shema Yerodeh. It's just a gzeira, a decree, that you might come to a deep sleep. There's nothing wrong. It makes sense, our svara, our initial svara, that napping outside the sukkah is not a problem in and of itself. The problem is you might fall into a deep sleep. Amar le Abaye asks a question now to Rav Ashi. Elohad Tanya, what are you going to do with this Brayso about tefillin? What are you going to do with this Brayso? What does it say about tefillin? Yoshin Adam Shenas Arai b'tefillin. You are allowed to sleep a nap with your tefillin on. Avoloi Shenas Keva, but you can't have a fixed, regular sleep with your tefillin on. That's what the Brayso says. What's the Brayso talking about? You might come to pass gas with your tefillin on. I'm going to switch passing gas to Shema Yafiach. I think Ari feels more comfortable with that phrase. Shema Yafiach. So that will be the phrase from now on. You might come. By the way, you know why some people say the Torah is called Lashon Kodesh? Why is it called Lashon Kodesh? Why is it more holy than English? What's more holy about it? Okay, so it originates from Hashem, things like that. But some people say the words themselves are nothing bad there's nothing like not nice in the actual word. Every word really just means something else. So for example, Shema Yafiach is just blowing, right? You might blow, which means passing gas. Or like tsoya, which is for like excrement. They don't use that word. Tsoya means like tsei, that comes out. Every word, even a lot of the words that we use for tashma shemitah, all these types of words, there's no actual word for any of these things. They're all just descriptive ways in a holy way of saying it. That's why it's called, according to some, Lashon HaKodesh. But anyways, because Shema Yefiach Behen, that's why you're not allowed to, it's scary, you're not allowed to, you have to have a guf naki. You can't be mafiach when you're wearing tefillin. But the Brisa says, a nap is okay, you're not going to be Shema Yefiach, but a deep sleep not. But it says, according to Rav Ashi, Leicha Shema Yerodeh, we should be concerned, you might fall into a deep sleep. Same problem. Amar Rav Yosef Brei de Rav Eloi, b'moiser sheinasei la'acherim. He handed his sleep to another person, he made a shomer. He made a guard. He told the guy, listen, if you see me falling into deep sleep, wake me up. And therefore, this Bryce, a very specific case. You really, back to the tefillin, you cannot nap with your tefillin on. You might be mefiach. But the Bryce was talking about a case where you made a shomer. So you made a shomer, that's okay. Maskef leira Misharsha asked on him, Arveich, Arvatzarach, your guarantor, your guard, your guarantor, he needs a guarantor. Right? If you're watching somebody sleeping, good chance you're going to fall asleep. It's very tiring to watch a guy sleeping. So you need another guard. It doesn't work to make a shomer for sleeping. He's going to need his own shomer. Basically, it's sort of like endless. And therefore, that can't be what the Bryce is talking about. It doesn't make sense that would work. Ella, rather, this is what the Bryce was talking about. Amar Rabba Bar Chana, Amar B'yechanan, b'meniach roishe b'im birkav askinon. It's talking about a very specific case. He was sleeping in an uncomfortable position. He was putting his head between his knees, askinon we're dealing with. So therefore, that's why the Bryce says you could take a nap with your tefillin on. Really, you can't. You can't take a nap. Only if you nap in an uncomfortable way is that okay. If you don't, if it's comfortable, you might fall into a deep sleep. So therefore, according to Rav Ashi, we've answered up the stira. Sukkah, the reason why you can't nap is because it might turn into a deep sleep. Why? By tefillin about a nap? No, you can't either nap. It's a very specific case when he's napping in an uncomfortable position. Somebody might have mentioned this yesterday, and it's a very good deal. I think somebody did here. It comes out on Sukkot, according to Rav Ashi, if you put your head between your knees, you can take a nap outside the Sukkah. I'm not sure who pointed that out here. Somebody, I think, said this. Right? Comes out based on this Gemara that the whole reason why Sukkot, you can't take a nap outside the Sukkah was Menachem? The reason why, or was Yisrael? I don't remember what it was. The reason you can't take a nap outside the Sukkah is just Xera. But if you're in an uncomfortable position, you probably could. Okay, the next words, just to chazer this over, Rava Amar is not following this train of thought. I wrote a note in my Gemara. Rava Amar is jumping all the way back to the Brisa. Why can't you sleep out? Why are you not allowed to take a nap outside the Sukkah? He's not talking about tefillin. Just one question only. Why does the Brisa say you're not allowed to take a nap outside the Sukkah? Says Rava Amar, Ein keva l'shena. Yes, there's something fundamentally wrong with taking a nap outside the Sukkah. Even the nap. Why? Because there's no keva or ara when it comes to sleep. Everything is keva. Everything is keva, because some people, a few minutes gives them the energy that they need.
What if you say something about food?
Really, that was the bias problem with 2 or 3 bayas. A lot of people, that's enough for them. But 1 bay is not. But sleep, there are people...
Rashi says, right? A guy that all he needs is a little thing and he feels great.
Yeah.
There are guys that will take an egg and be good. They see a little energy.
Right, so I guess sleep is a lot more people. You could take an energy and boom, be up for like a couple hours afterwards. Totally fine. Sleep is like that.
Less of a concept than someone
I get
quick.
Right. One bay's worth is not enough for most people, I guess. But sleep is like that. You
Rava
take
doesn't work for tefillin?
Rava, so we'll get that in a second. Rava was not talking about tefillin at all. Rava was addressing why you can't nap outside the sukkah. Wasn't even talking about tefillin. If you want to ask about Tarava, what about napping the tefillin? That's nothing to do with him. There's nothing. He was only talking about a sukkah, hilchas sukkah type of thing. Teishu came to do. You have to live in your sukkah the same you live at home, and all types of sleeping are considered fixed and permanent.
You can sleep Ari with tefillin, but according to Rava, there's no such thing as Ari. Everything is.
Tefillin's is not the halacha of sleeping.
What would Rava say?
Oh,
to that?
so Arya wants to know, what would Rava say about tefillin? Nothing. He holds taking a small nap. You might not be mafias. That's okay. Rava has no problem with tefillin. He never discussed it. It's not his issue. There's no steer on him. The other one said is Xavier might come to fall into deep sleep. Okay, so why is tefillin different? But according to Rava, Rava's whole point was in hilchas sukkah. There's a halacha you have to live in the sukkah, and therefore snacking is not living. You don't, that's something you would do outside your home. But sleeping, all forms of sleeping is something is fixed and permanent, and therefore you must do it in the sukkah. What does Rava do with tefillin? It's not a problem to him. What he would answer Pashas is that a nap, we're not scared Shemi Yafiach, but a deep sleep you can't do.
Shouldn't the Gemara say in Aaron Shino? I'd say in Kevlar Shino.
I agree with you. It's Donnie's point, a very good question. I was also bothered by this. The words seem to be a drop funny. Those are not the words I would have chosen to express this idea. I don't know why. It literally means there's nothing fixed about sleep, but he's pointing out there's no temporary, everything's fixed. I guess it's a way of saying it. There's no fixed. When you say fixed, it means there's something that's temporary, right? So it's like, there's nothing called fixed because everything's fixed. So you don't say fixed. That's basically the way it's saying it. But I agree with you. I would have thought it would say it the other way. I agree. Fine.
Always fixed. You could be woken up any second.
You could be woken up any second. I don't know. No one dresses that you could be woken up. I hear. Fine. So far we're good. The sukkah part we're good, and the tefillin part we're good. Now the Gemara, once it got it into tefillin, it asked a Siri. It ran a little fast here, so this is really where we ended. Whatever, went a little fast. Tani chada. Again, nothing to do with sukkahs now. Back to tefillin once we're talking about it. Tani chada. One brisa says, Yoshin adam b'tefillin shenes ara. You're allowed to sleep with your tefillin a nap. Avoloi shenes kavab. You cannot sleep a fixed sleep. You're not allowed to. Okay, you're not allowed to do that. Now, that is the exact same thing we learned in the Brisa. So we're very familiar with that line. The Tanya Idach, there's another Brisa that says, Bein Keva, Bein Arai. Doesn't say if you're allowed to or not, but it means as you could. Whether it's Keva, whether it's Arai, you're allowed to sleep with your tefillin. Whoa, okay, that's pretty cool. Everything is good. The Tanya Idach, a third Brisa says, another Brisa, Loi Keva, V'loi Arai. Nothing. No keva, no fixed sleep, no arai, no nap. Nothing can be done with your tefillin on. A three-way machlokes, three brises all seem to be a stira. Is there any way we can answer it up? The Gemara says loy kasha. It's not a problem. Okay, here's how it goes. Ha, when it says ha, referring to the brisa that everything is aser. Okay, even though the Gemara's answer does not fit the order of the brises, which is a little funny. Someone pointed out yesterday. I forgot what it was. Someone pointed out. Chaim said this. The answer you think would go directly in line with the brises, but it doesn't. It goes out of order. I don't know why.
We have a shot also. If you look in the Eis Chaf, the Sar Shas, in the time Tais Kedushin, Taisus of there says that you vice that the brice doesn't cure very often. The Gemara doesn't cure by order. And we arrive
from here because it's so easy. It should have done this order.
It does the wrong way, but we do find very often that it continues from the end. So it works that way. It finishes off and then it goes back. And then goes backwards and then works its way back. Here it's like totally random. Yeah. So I don't know why, that's why it makes it confusing, but does not go in order. So the one that said, the first ha is the Braisha that said everything's aser, ben keva, ben shena. And the Gemara says, we're not talking about where you're wearing tefillin, although it seemed like it. That wasn't what it was talking about. Hadanakalahu biyadeh, he was holding it in his hand. He took off his tefillin, and he was holding it, and he started dozing off. That's not allowed. For sure, deep sleep and not even dozing off. Why? Because when you're holding tefillin in your hand, you might easily drop it. That's dangerous. You might drop your tefillin. Therefore, everything is aser. Ha, the next ha is referring to the classic case where you're wearing your tefillin. The mamchi bereshe. He was wearing the tefillin was on his head. That's referring to what we thought till now was he's wearing his tefillin and he's allowed to sleep a shenas are, but not a shenas keva. That brisa. You could take a nap, but you can't take a permanent sleep. That was a classic case when you're wearing tefillin. And the third one, ha, which everything was mutter, was not even talking about where you're holding it or wearing your tefillin. Just to explain this for a second. Back then, they used to wear tefillin all the time. Okay? And all of a sudden, a guy got tired. It's very hard for him every single time he gets tired, where he has to go to the bathroom, something like that, to take off his tefillin, put them in a bag, wrap it up like we do when we're done with our tefillin. The Torah was not given to Malachi Asharis. It's too hard. It's too hard. So you have a right to take off your tefillin, put it like right near your head on the bed, even on your pillow, and put a handkerchief over it just to cover it, and that's not a bizayin. Even though you're sleeping next to your tefillin on your bed, next to your head, it's okay. What do you want him to do? Every time he takes off his tefillin, every time wrap it up, put it away, it's too hard. So all you have to do is the paras sudrulave, you wrap a sudr, a handkerchief over it, and that's enough, and that's okay, and you could sleep a shenas kava, shenas arai, and that's how you answer up the stira of all these prices. This is what we're up to right now. Says the Gemara. The kama shenas arai. We've been talking about you're allowed to take a nap with your tefillin on.
Nothing to do with sukkahs. Sukkahs, you're not allowed to take a nap. According to Rava, according to Rav Ashi, maybe if your head's between your knees. Okay? But generally, you can't nap outside the sukkah. How much is a nap in general when it comes to tefillin? What about that? We said tefillin, you're allowed to take a nap. How long is a nap? And when you hear about how long a nap is, you're going to see it's not so crazy. It's not that long. Tani Rami Bar Yecheskel. Rami Bar Yecheskel taught. Tani over here doesn't mean a brisa. He's Namoiro. Tani means he taught. Rami Bar Yecheskel taught. How long? Kedei hiluch mea ama. Whoa. The amount, hiluch, to walk, 100 amas. 100 amas is a question how much an amma is. It's between 1.5 feet to 2 feet. You're talking about be'erech 1 minute. Okay? It takes about 1 minute to walk 100 amas. Less than a minute is how long your nap could be. So if a guy with a tefillin, he wants to doze off for mamish a second, he has up to a minute, v'zehu. After that, it's already a chance, shemi yafiach. Okay? It's not that long. It's not that long. The guy dozes off, you have to be very careful. You shouldn't wake a guy up. The Gemara brings a raya to this. Tanya Nami Halcha, we learned in the brisa like this. That's how long it is. Just to explain this brisa before, I get a little agdama. If somebody, carry, if we talk about carry for a second, the word carry means semen, and the reason why it's called carry, also a lashon of the Torah, it's a kaddish-dik lashon. Carry just means an occurrence, what happens. Like kar means something just happened. It doesn't actually mean that word, just a way of referring to it. But carry, if somebody has a carry and it's on his body, it's the same thing like tsaya. It's the same thing as excrement, and you have to clean it off from you. Only when, and just good to know in this halacha, only when it's still wet. Once it's dry, it's okay. It's very negated in halacha about making brachas or anything else like that. It has to be cleaned off from you. Kolzman is wet. Once it dries, it's fine. Same thing as tsaya. If someone has tsaya on them, technically once it dries up, if it's on your skin somewhere, you could still make brachas. But if it smells, whatever, it's not the exact same, but similar halachas. So what happened was, a guy was wearing his tefillin, and he had a carry. He had a carry with his tefillin on. He fell asleep and something happened. The halach is, you have to remove your tefillin. You have to remove your tefillin because you have tsay on you. You're dirty. You're dirty. If a guy would have tsay, you can't have tefillin there. You can't have tsay in the base medrash or in your kedusha. You have to remove your tefillin. But you're not allowed to touch your tefillin. Because you're dirty and your hands are dirty-ish from it probably, you're not allowed to touch the actual boxes of the tefillin. And you're supposed to just take them by the straps and remove them. Believe it or not, I never knew this before. I was checking it up, and Mishabura says it as well. You're not allowed to touch svarim if your hands are dirty. If you know you touched, something, some tsaya or something like that, you're not allowed to touch a siddur, even our siddur, which are printed. You have to be very careful. So you have to have some kedusha when this carry happens. Let's just look at the brisa now. Tanam Yalchi, we learned in the brisa as well. Hayashem b'tefillin, a guy was sleeping with his tefillin on, the roya carry, and he sees carry. He sees all of a sudden, boom, he had a carry. Oiches b'ritzua, he should grab, ritzua means the straps. Ve'ein oiches b'ktzitza, but do not grab the ktzitza. The word ktzitza means the box. Why means ktzitza? I think it's cut out. Ktzitza means cut out. It's like the cut out form. You do not touch the bias of your tefillin. Take it off by the ritzuas. Divrei Rabbi Yaakov. These are the words of Rabbi Yaakov. You have a carry with your tefillin on. That means the guy was sleeping. He had a carry. Remove it by the straps and not by the bias. The Chachamim say, Yashin Adam b'tefillin shenes ari. You could take a nap with your tefillin on. Avoloi shenes keva. But you cannot take a serious sleep. Not allowed to. And he says in the brayso, the kama shenes ari, and how much is a nap? Kidei hiluch me'il amma. The amount it would take to walk 100 amas. So what is going on in this brayso? Just to explain, they're not even talking to each other. It's a little shver. Rabbi Yaakov says that the guy's wearing his tefillin sleeping. It sounds like from Rabbi Yaakov that he allows a person to wear tefillin while he's sleeping. Even a shenes keva, which is very strange, right? He says a guy's wearing his tefillin, went to sleep with his tefillin on, and he had a carry. Sounds like it was okay for him to wear his tefillin on, and he had a carry. So Rabbi Yaakov seems to hold it's fine. I had a carry. This is how you remove them. The Chum say, what? You had a carry? You're not allowed to take a deep sleep. You're only allowed to nap. So if you nap, it would never happen you'd have a carry. That's what's going on in this brayso. Rabbi Yaakov says the guy took a shluf with his tefillin on. Oh, he had a carry. Okay, this is how you remove them. Says the Chachamim, what? You're not going to sleep a shenas keva. You can take a shenas arai, but not a shenas keva. Therefore, it would never happen to you. And then they stick in the Rabbanan, and how much is a nap? Kedehilach me'ama, the amount it takes to walk 100 amas. So you see from this brayso, a mefurish raya to Rami Bar Yecheskel. How long is a nap? 100 amas. Because you see the Chacham say here, you're allowed to take a nap with your tefillin, not a shenas keva, and it says how much is a nap? The amount of 100 amas to walk, which is about 1 minute. Stop over here. Shkach.